Hi, everybody. It's Steve Halley here with the Family Peace Initiative. Thanks for joining me for the November Facilitators Tool Chest blog. This month, I want to talk with you about battering motive. I think if you've been in a group room for very long, you know that not all those who batter are the same. And there's been kind of a puzzle over the years to try to figure out what's the difference and how do we sort them out and how do we think about this. Well, my wife, Dorothy Stuckey Halley, has been working on motive of those who batter for about 30 years now. And she's recognizing that not all of them are the same because even though they might be doing the same behaviors, the drive of what's driving those behaviors can be significantly different, much like somebody who is in church. Some people are going to church to worship God, and other people are there to sing with the choir, and other people are there to be seen in church. They might be doing the same thing, but they're there for different motives, and motives matter. And so what we're talking about is there's three different essential motives, some general categories of motivations. The first is an entitlement-based motive. We recognize a survival-based motive. And we recognize the third category, or the third motive, would be sadistic base. Now, all three of these can overlap, right? They can all have combinations of those. But when we look at the driving force behind what creates the danger for victims and partners of those who batter, understanding motive can make a big difference. So let's take a look at entitlement base first. When we talk about entitlement base, it's the way we've looked at those who batter for the last 30 or 40 years. We talk about battering is about entitlement, it's about privilege. And sadly, we painted everybody with kind of the same brush. The common beliefs are, my needs come first, I'm the king of the castle, my partner is here to serve me, and my way or the highway, my partner has all the responsibility, I have all the privilege. All this entitlement-based drive, right? That as long as I'm first, as long as I'm the focus and my needs are there in the center, I'm fine. So when partners and victims are at the greatest risk when they're involved with an entitlement-based motive is that when they assert their own authority, when they stand up for their own needs, when they say, wait a minute, when they want to hold the offender accountable for a transgression or for a lack of integrity, when we hold someone who's entitled accountable, they push back because they believe that we don't have the right to hold them accountable. And those times will elevate danger. Right. So whenever someone is pushing back on the entitlement person's motives, position of authority, danger and risk can increase. The second motive is survival-based, which, as you can see by this little diagram, survival-based motive can have entitlement-based motive, behaviors and beliefs as well. But there's some significant difference with the survival-based. And in the room, when we ask people, when they talk about trying to get their partner back, in the batter's intervention room, and we say, what would happen to you if you lost your partner? And they will tell you, I would have nothing. I have nothing left. I'm nothing without my partner. I can't imagine life without my partner. I can't bear to see my partner with somebody else. Those are all common statements that those who batter, who are driven by a survival-based motive, might make, right? They're often highly jealous, even when their partner is not doing anything that would activate jealousy, right? There's this constant underlying fear of it's just a matter of time before my partner leaves me. Now, this survival base is a really big deal because when you connect survival to a relationship, when the relationship is ending, that things can get very dangerous. And Dobash and Dobash, in their great book, put together that for some of those who batter, it was like a switch gets flipped and suddenly they just head up on this destructive path, which puts victims and partners in serious danger and can lead to homicide or homicide-suicide or even familicide, which is commonly the survival-based motive that is driving those kind of horrible events. So when the attention is not on the abusive partner to the proper intensity, the survival-based motive can really get anxious and concerned that maybe the relationship's falling apart. These people, the people who are driven by this motive, are most dangerous when they think that the relationship is over. It's not when the partner necessarily leaves, but it's when the survival-based individual believes that the partner's not coming back. When the partner gets a new boyfriend, a new girlfriend, a new relationship, something else is going on if there's evidence, when they're served with the divorce papers, when there's evidence that the relationship is coming to an end, danger increases. Now, the third category, the third group of motivation is the sadistic base. And I believe there's very few of these in our group room, but we may not always know when they're there. The sadistic motive tend to get a lot of pleasure out of inflicting pain on their partner. And not only do they get the pleasure out of inflicting the pain, but they get pleasure out of planning. We had a gentleman who his stepdaughter brought in a whole book of how he was planning on building an underground chamber to store his partner. And he included the number of boards, the number of nails, the feet of hose that he was going to need for oxygen. He had it planned to a T. This was somebody who enjoyed the planning, maybe even more than the actual cruelty that was inflicted onto somebody else. Sadistic-based motive are commonly very smart people. They can be attorneys, they can be ministers, they can be law enforcement, they can be car salesmen. They get a lot of pleasure out of mind games, of winning, of destroying people for the fun of it. Right? And so when are victims and partners at the greatest risk? Well, in these cases, they're at greatest risk inside the relationship, not necessarily when they're leaving the relationship. But the sadistic-based individual might isolate their partner from their family, from their support system. They might move them out into the country. They might slowly disconnect them and gaslight them and get them to think that there's something wrong with them, that the victim or the partner is crazy, right? Now, not everyone who batters gaslights or plays mind games. Gaslighting is typical behavior of people who are on the sadistic motive continuum because it's designed to play mind games, which those who are sadistic based really get pleasure out of doing. Right? So in our classrooms, we have this on the board. We will draw this little Venn diagram and we'll write the beliefs that the entitlement base have. We'll write the beliefs that the survival base have. We'll write the beliefs that the sadistic base have. And then we'll give the marker to the participants and we'll just say, put your initials in this Venn diagram where you see yourself, what drives your motive. And they tell you. They just go up there and they'll write their initials. Some will be entitled, some will be solely survival-based, some will be a combination, entitlement and survival-based, and a few will be all three. But they will tell you, I don't have to assess them. I just have to ask them and explain to them. And once we have that information, then there's a whole strategy of interventions. We intervene somewhat differently with those who are entitled versus those who are survival-based, versus those who are primarily driven by sadistic base. And we have to know that because all three of these motives are present in your classroom at all times. They're there. And if you don't know, and if you're not helping the participants to understand what's going on with them, it's really hard to create safety for those that are relying on you to try to create safety for them and the kids. And so this is an amazing tool to use inside of your group room. And if you understand the three basic motives, you can teach the class and then they'll tell you what their motive is. Right? I want to thank you very much for listening to this. I know it's been a fast kind of flyby. On December 18th of this year at 8 o'clock in the morning, we have a 4-hour Zoomed workshop on cracking the code, understanding the different motives of those who batter. It is a great training and it will leave you clearly walking away and understanding the different motives, and it'll have you clicking kind of experiences in your head of people that you've worked with over the history. And oh, if I had realized that they had been survival based or I hadn't thought of them as sadistic, it will really change the practice and the way you perceive what's going on inside of your group room, and it will change your ability, it will increase your ability to keep those who are being victimized by this behavior. It will help you to create a higher level of safety. So check our website out, www.familypeaceinitiative. And give us an email. There's our email addresses if you'd like to give us a holler and ask us questions. And have a happy holiday, have a happy Thanksgiving, and maybe we'll see you on December 18th, and we'll put another blog out in December as well. Thanks, you guys.